All right, so we're live. I get a lot of questions from our patients and prospective patients about what we do at the Illinois Back Institute. And not only what we do, but really in the end, what makes us different than traditional physical therapy. A lot of our patients have gone to physical therapy and they say, you know what, I've been to physical therapy, I don't need to go to the Illinois Back Institute. But they're not the same. Matter of fact, they're only similar from the point of view as we have physical therapists that work at the Illinois Back Institute, but we do not do traditional physical therapy. So, having said that, typical spinal conditions that we treat and typical causes of low back pain that we treat at the Illinois Back Institute are the herniated disc, the bulging disc, stenosis, degenerated discs, spondylolisthesis, which is a little bit more complicated, and most importantly, sciatica. These are the main conditions that we treat, and they will treat similar conditions at physical therapy. But this is sort of the core of what we treat. At the Illinois Back Institute, we treat the spine. That's it. The spine and related nerves that get irritated. We do what's called functional disc stabilization. We treat the disc, and physical therapy, typically what they do is they work with muscles. So we're going to go through anatomy just so you understand really what it is that we treat and how it is different. Typical spine looks like this. The head's here, the hips are here. There's 24 vertebrae between the head and the hips. The vertebrae are the bones. In between each bone, there is a disc. The disc allows for motion of the vertebrae. Forward, back, side to side, and rotate. All that motion takes place on top of the disc. The disc is designed to support the load of the spine. Also, inside the spine is the spinal cord. So the brain's up here. Off the brain is the brainstem, and then the spinal cord is off the brainstem, and that runs through the inside of the spine. And the spine is designed to protect the spinal cord. So the spinal cord runs down through the inside, and the spinal cord is protected by the spine. In between each vertebrae, there is a nerve that exits directly off of the spinal cord. So there are nerves that exit directly off the spinal cord, and they exit through the area here called the foramen. So there's an opening where that nerve comes out. Now, if you've ever had a pinched nerve, you'll have the pinched nerve typically in the space where that nerve exits through what's called the foramen. And all those conditions that we talked about earlier, these conditions are disc problems that very often will compromise those nerves. What does that mean? It means the nerve will get pinched in the area of the foramen as a result of the disc, the bulging disc, the degenerated disc. So the nerves in the low back go down the legs. If you've ever had that pinched nerve in your low back, very often you'll have pain from the low back that goes down into the leg. That is sciatica. And it's this area right here where the nerve will get pinched as a result of the disc in the spinal canal. Now, physical therapy works with the muscles. So you've got the spine, and then there are muscles that attach to the spine. And typically the goal of physical therapy is to try to activate a muscle that is weak or stretch a muscle that is too tight. Doesn't physically solve the problem of the disc. It very often will take some of the pressure off the disc, but it doesn't solve the problem of the disc. So you've got all the muscles that attach to the spine in the back, inside deep, and then there's the muscles in the front as well. So you've got the abdominal muscles, you've got the deeper spinal muscles, and you've got the muscles in the back. Typically the goal of physical therapy is to take the pressure off the nerve by working with the muscles. And we know when you have a pinched nerve in your low back, very often you have pain that goes in the back. Sometimes it'll go into the hip. Sometimes it'll go all the way down the foot. That is the sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve exits out of the lowest part of your spine. Looks just like that. The disc. The disc very often will break down as a result of too much load and too much pressure. So the disc is a lot like a jelly donut in the sense that the outside of the disc there's a thick material. Inside the disc there's a jelly-like substance. Looks just like this. Okay? Outer portion there's a thick material. Inside there's a jelly-like substance. What can happen is you can develop a little tear. And that tear in the annulus, the outer portion, will allow for the nucleus to migrate in that direction. As that nucleus starts to migrate in that direction, you'll develop what's called a bulging disc. So the pressure is pushing the nucleus out in that direction, and the disc is bulging out. It looks kind of like this from a top view. And as that disc starts to bulge out, it'll start to compress a little bit of that nerve. It'll compress into the area where the nerve is, causing the sciatica. Over time, what can happen is the disc can push out further, and you can develop what's called a herniation. The herniation will pinch that nerve as that nerve exits through the spinal canal in the area where the foramen is, and it's that nerve pushing, that disc pushing into the nerve. You can physically see the herniated disc on an MRI. One vertebrae on top of the other. Here's the disc in between, and right now here's the disc pushing into the spinal canal. And what it's going to do is it's going to push into the area where the nerve is. And that's going to cause the sciatica. So the question is, what's the difference between the Illinois Back Institute, functional disc stabilization, and physical therapy? Well, physical therapy, the goal is to work with the muscles. Doesn't solve the problem in the disc. Reactivates the muscles, stabilize the muscles, you still have a disc problem. Physical therapy does not solve the problem in the disc. What we do is we take pressure off the disc. And when we take the pressure off the disc, through our process, as we take the pressure off, what happens is it opens up the space where the nerve is. So we have you to wear a harness. And as you wear that harness, we take pressure off. And as we take it off, it unloads the disc, which frees up the space. Looks like this. We take pressure off. Here's the herniation. Herniation pushing into the spinal canal. It's going to cause the back pain, and it's going to cause the pinching of the nerve. As we take the pressure off slowly over time, what happens is that disc will go back to the inside, eventually where it goes all the way back to the inside. So how do we do that? We have you wear a harness. And we do it lying down, and we do it seated, and we do it standing up. So you're wearing the harness, goes around your abdomen, and then we take pressure off. We do traction, advanced decompression. So we take the pressure off, slowly pulling apart. As we do that, the disc will slowly start to migrate back to the inside. And again, we do it seated, we do it lying down, and we do it standing up. The three positions you live your life in. What happens is the disc will slowly move back to the inside. Okay, we do advanced disc decompression. And the decompression unloads the disc, allows it to slowly move back to the inside where you get the healing. So what does that mean? It means the bulging disc starts to go away, the degenerated disc starts to go away, the herniated disc starts to go away, and we free up the space slowly over time. Okay, and we can also do it in the neck, same thing. Here's an MRI of the neck with a herniated disc that after therapy, the herniated disc was better. We did a study in 2013 where we compared our treatment, functional disc stabilization, the advanced decompression with the exercises, and we compared it to physical therapy. And we had 70 patients in the physical therapy category, and we had 70 patients in the Illinois Back Institute category. And all patients in both categories had advanced disc degeneration with sciatica. Some had herniation, some had bulges, but they all had sciatica. And they went through our treatment, and we compared them to patients that went through physical therapy. Same patients, 70 patients. And we compared pain, and we compared disability. And this study was published in 2016. If you go to the PubMed, which is a database for the National Institute of Health and the National Library of Medicine, you put Illinois Back Institute, you can find our study. But in the end, what we did is we compared physical therapy to the Illinois Back Institute for both pain and disability. So the question is, how much better was the pain after therapy, and how much better was the outcome, the disability after therapy? Patients that started in the different programs, physical therapy and Illinois Back Institute, their pain was a 7.5 on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is no pain, 10 is severe pain. The average disability, we have you fill out a questionnaire, and the questionnaire identifies how disabled you are. What effect does the pain have on your lifestyle? Are you able to drive? Are you able to walk? Are you able to, how well do you sleep? What's the effect of the back pain on your work environment? So we're able to give you a score. And the average for both categories, their pain was 7.5 and their Oswestry Disability Index was a 44. They were 44% disabled. At the end of physical therapy, their pain had dropped by 2.4 points. So they'd gone from 7.5 down to 5.1. At the end of our program, it had dropped 6.8 points. So it had gone down from 7.5 to down to 0.7. Disability at the end of physical therapy had dropped 9 points. Ours had gotten better by 31 points. Okay? So what does that mean? It means it was better. It wasn't just a little bit better, it was dramatically better, both for pain and for disability. So what's the difference between physical therapy and what we do at the Illinois Back Institute? The Illinois Back Institute takes pressure off the disc. We allow for healing of the disc. It was proven in a scientific study the effect that it has on the spine and the effect that it has on both your pain and your level of disability. So we affect the disc. Physical therapy typically affects the muscles. It doesn't get the same benefit to the disc. Matter of fact, there are no therapies that do what we do. Ours has the ability to affect the disc. So we did a study recently. Well, we did the study with the 70 patients, and we were able to compare that. We've recently finished a study of 1,200 patients, and we've compared our level of improvement to all other forms of therapy that are available for these types of conditions. Again, ours improved 27 points. Physical therapy improved 9.5 points. Okay, this is how much better, and this is how much better. It's not just a little bit better, it's dramatically better. The Illinois Back Institute has the ability to affect the disc. We do it in ways that nobody else can. If you'd like to make an appointment, you can call that number right there. 844-577-7329. Okay, we have 5 clinics. The Berwyn Clinic is just off of Harlem Avenue on Harlem and 22nd, or it's actually 22nd Home Avenue. So it's 2 blocks east of Harlem Avenue on 22nd Street. Orland Park is 183rd Street and Wolf Road. Wheaton is between Butterfield and Roosevelt Road on Naperville Road. These are all easy to find. We have an Arlington Heights Clinic that is just off of Highway 53 between Rand and Dundee Road. And then we have a clinic in Wilmette, which is really kind of Glenview Wilmette. It's right off of the Edens Expressway between Old Orchard and Glenview Road. This is what it looks like. We do it lying down, we do it standing, and we do it seated. What makes us different is we affect the disc. Nobody has the ability to affect the disc the way we do. Physical therapy does muscles. We do muscles, but we first fix the disc and then we do the muscles. That's the difference. So I'm going to try to answer questions. We get a lot of questions because we are different. So I'm going to try to answer questions every day. And we will do it in this live environment where we're doing them live. So if you have any questions, submit your question. We'll answer your questions, but we have a bunch that we're going to work through this week. So that's it. Thank you very much. Have a good night and be careful. I'm out. I'm out. Which one is that one?
Facebook and